Okay. Thank you. Okay. So we're going to go to text 1. It's on 127. And just get this out of the way. It says from this week's Torah portion, as he promised, God promised, and this is Moses talking to the Jewish people, very close to his passing, and he knows he's going to pass away. God selected you this day to be his treasured people. Okay. Treasured people is what we call chosenness. There isn't, well, actually, chosenness does show up, but the idea of treasured people is there's something select about you, saying to the Jews. And then he puts on another, I'm not saying it's a qualifier, but an explanatory clause here, so that you will observe all his commandments. You're chosen to serve me, which is, that's what the Torah seems to say. That you're chosen for a responsibility, not chosen that you're smarter, brighter, better looking. You have a responsibility. Chosen to serve. And in this case, to serve me. Now, if you look at text 2, text 2 takes it a little bit to more what we were talking about before in the leadership sense. Look. Oops, I'm sorry. Yes, good, thank you. This is from the Talmud. The Talmud here is talking about the great Rabbi Gamliel, who was a leader of the Jews in the 2nd century, and he found out about 2 outstanding students in the yeshiva who had no food, no money for food or clothing, and he wanted to, since they were so advanced, he wanted to give them a place of authority and teaching in the academy. So he sent for them, saying, I want to give you guys a job. But it would be like faculty. So it says he summoned them, but they did not arrive. They got the message, they didn't come. Summoned them again, they couldn't say no to their leader. They arrived. So he's still stuck on the fact that they didn't arrive the first time. He said to them, do you think I'm appointing you to a position of mastery? When I was going to make you faculty, does that mean that the point was now you get to lord it over other people? That's not what leadership is. It's a position of servitude to which I appoint you. If you're going to be a faculty here, you're becoming a servant to the students. Don't get wrapped up in this idea. You think, oh, my humility, I don't want to take a position of authority and leadership. It's not about your ego. It's not about you. It's about what you can do for others, and that's why I'm selecting you. I want to help you out and give you a paycheck too. But the point is, I believe you can be of service to others. So there's a certain, the reason they bring this here is because there's a certain mindset trying to get to is that, and leadership does have a relationship with it, but they're chosen this idea. From a Torah perspective, a leader is a servant of the people. Chosenness doesn't mean that God said you're special, better than anybody, and that's it. Now you get to wear, you get to have a halo. It's chosen to serve. Now, serve what? Let's take a look at 3a. The Torah earlier said, now, if you obey me and keep my covenant, this is before God gave us the Torah. It says it should be my treasure out of all peoples. Again, this idea, same word that the Torah uses, we're treasured, which is nice. God treasures us. That's chosenness. For the entire earth belongs to me, and I see the value in everything. I created everything, and you're going to be a treasure, and you'll be my kingdom of priests and a holy nation. Now he throws in something else. A kingdom of priests and a holy nation. What's a kingdom of priests and a holy nation? So one of the great commentaries, the Sforno, the bottom of 128.3b, he says, you shall be my treasure because you will be the kingdom of priests. What is the Torah trying to say here? What is God trying to tell us here? To teach and guide humanity to evoke God's name and serve him as one. A kingdom of priests and a holy nation means that your job will be to be a moral and divine conscience to the world, which is very often the way it's taken. That we have a Baptist church across the street. I got my deal, they got their deal. We're friends. Torah tells me, and I take this very seriously, and those of you know me, understand that if a non-Jew comes by here looking for spirituality, which happens, it's actually my responsibility to help them find God. What? Where? What? In the church? Yeah. We've had coming here, but I said, but you're Jewish. That's designed for you. But I'm happy. I've done my Jewish duty. I've inspired a non-Jew to find God, whether it's in the mosque or the church. So I have the idea is God says that we're created to serve God. We're created to serve. We're created to serve humanity, in the sense that we want to make sure that we can do whatever we do whatever we can so that humanity has a healthy relationship with the Creator. So we believe that that's good. Now, if their faith in the Creator leads them to sawing off heads, maybe we don't, maybe we don't send them there. But the idea is that a relationship with God, we believe in that, and they're not Judaism, God. The Torah is very universal in that sense, that it's that we have this responsibility to try and be a godly conscience for the world, and it's a burden sometimes. It's work to do. Why do I got enough to deal with? I don't have to deal with all the goyim also to deal with their spirituality. It says what I mean. They're people. They're humans, and God. They're God's creations, and we want to. God wants us to be this kingdom of priests, so to speak, the idea of helping to guide people to a relationship with God. And often we do that through how we act. And now, years ago, I had an appointment with someone who's a builder, Italian guy, clearly Italian guy, Catholic guy. And we were just talking. He does business in Brooklyn, and it happens to be he does business with a classmate of mine who is very big in real estate. I mean, he inherited, but he's done very well for himself in real estate. And he says, "Yeah, we do business together." He's invested here in New Jersey. He said, "One thing I'll never forget, that we were in a meeting and it was really important, and we're getting, and we all had a lot of money to make, and he said he's got to step out for 15 minutes. I go, where are you going? He says, it's getting late. I have the afternoon prayer. Like, I can't help this. And he said, that's cool, because money, prayers can wait. He said that and this guy is, the guy he's talking about is not the biggest theologian in the world. He's just, he was doing his thing. So the idea that it perhaps inspired this Catholic person to think about value of thinking about higher and godly responsibilities, that's a beautiful thing. My friend didn't set out that morning to lecture anyone, but it's through role modeling. Now, let's look at text 4a. This is from Blaise Pascal, who lived in the 1600s, and there are a number of quotes from him at a time when Jews were not treated well at all. He seems to have had a fascination with the Jews. 4a, the Jewish people at once attract my attention by the number of wonderful and singular facts which appear about them. This family or people is the most ancient within human knowledge, a fact which seems to me to inspire a peculiar veneration for it, especially in view of our present inquiry. Since if God had from all time revealed himself to men, it is to these we must turn for knowledge of the tradition. So he saw this as a fascination. He wasn't looking to become Jewish, but he saw this idea of a human relationship with God and being embodied by Christianity and Islam. They all start off in their own theology from Sinai, which is what God gave the Torah to the Jews. They all agree with that. But then they have this thing where God changed his mind and did this thing with Jesus and that thing with Muhammad. But it comes from somewhere. That's what history is. And really, in the psychology of it also, and I think that's what Pascal is saying, there's that we carry with us this idea of a a personal relationship with the divine, and the idea that this has spread around the world is something which is an influence of ours. Maimonides actually writes in his book, it was taken out by censors for centuries, but it's back. He writes at towards the end of his book of laws, he said, how is it that he said, we don't believe in Jesus. His term for Muhammad was Hamashuga. He didn't go for Muhammad either. He says, so why is it that they were so much more successful and we're so small? So he said, this was a good thing, because through this, God allowed the proliferation of monotheism to the non-Jewish world, brought to the non-Jewish world. It's a good thing. But Pascal had the ability to see that it does stem from Jewish people. Look at text 4b from Thomas Cahill. This, if you remember, 20 years or so ago, this was a big item. Gifts to the Jews. We are the undeserving recipients of this history of the Jews, this long, excessive, miraculous development of ethical monotheism, without which our ideas of equality and personalism are unlikely ever to have come into being, and surely would never have matured in the way that they have. Unbelievers might wish to stop for a moment and consider how completely God, this Jewish God of justice and compassion, undergirds all our values, and it is just possible that human effort without this God is doomed to certain failure. Humanity's most extravagant dreams are articulated by the Jewish prophets. In Isaiah's vision, true faith is no longer confined to one nation, but all the nations stream to the house of God, that he may teach us his way, that we may learn to beat our swords into plowshares. So Thomas Cahill, who's a good Irish guy, so there's something, what's called the Judeo-Christian ethic, whatever. There's a certain, it's part of our Western libertine way of thinking, which is a good thing. In text 5, we have again this great Rabbi, the Sepharno, who was quoted earlier, I think, in text 3, and he says, "You shall be my treasure of all peoples. Humanity is more precious to me than all the lower creatures." The way he's saying is what God is saying when it says you will be for me a treasure. It means that, first of all, humanity has the wisdom and the capacity for self-analysis and the capacity for moral free choice, which animal life and plant life doesn't have. So that's precious to me. Then all the lower creatures, because the purpose of creation is fulfilled through them. What humans do with the world, with nature, with the animal kingdom, they elevate the world. Indeed, our sages of blessed memory taught, beloved are humans, for they were created in God's image. So what he's trying to explain, the treasure idea, is our treasure. Part of our duty is for me to explain to my Baptist friends across the street that from my Torah perspective, they are valuable to God. They are uniquely valuable to God. And they have an important point in bringing meaning to the world. They're humans. They're endowed with something. So as I said before, a skill set is not just a gift, it's a responsibility. Being human means you have a skill set that your cat and dog don't have. It has nothing to do with being Jewish. It has to do with being human. And therefore, what he's saying is the Jewish idea is to help people understand that they each matter, Jew and non-Jew. Nevertheless, among them you will be my primary treasure. So, but still, since you are my agent, God is saying to the Jews, since you are my agent, to make sure everyone understands that they are themselves a treasure, then you're a special treasure. Okay, so
Rabbi,
yeah,
people who don't have Jewish soul are being sent to the Islam and Christianity, which in a way misinterpretation of God's word, because we have the right God word since God gave us Torah.
Well, yeah, we're right, they're wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, well, the thing is that the idea that they believe in God That's enough.
But they also believe in their Bible, their
That's
Quran,
okay.
and it's totally
I'm
wrong.
not going to get bent out of shape. It's the idea that Torah-wise, halachically, even when they were killing us, because a lot of time for many centuries, both Christians and Muslims they were coming after us, but it was always felt that for a non-Jew being a Muslim more than a Christian, actually being a Muslim is a pure monotheism, and therefore it's important, it's good to help to guide people to guide non-Jews to Islam. And Christianity, at least according to the
non-Muslims to Islam, to say.
not that's a
I said non-Jews to Islam.
Well, non-Jews.
Yeah.
Non-Jews to Islam.
Well, they guide the Jews as well to Islam.
We didn't guide the Jews to Islam.
No.
It's important for Jews. It's important for Jews to guide non-Jews to Islam, and for at least the European rabbis who experienced Christianity, they felt that it was that, and they're being slaughtered by the Crusades, still that was a helpful avenue for a non-Jew because they found God. They had God coming through Christianity. Atheism was never the preference, even though Christians were middle killings.
I presume neither is Hinduism, Buddhism.
Hinduism, Buddhism is different. Hinduism for sure. The conventional wisdom is that Hinduism is polytheism. I'm not sure that's true.
Is what?
Is polytheism or idolatry, right, from Torah law? I think when you get into, and I'm not suggesting you get into it, but if you read about Hinduism, because I don't think it's really it's idolatry. They're talking about God and it being manifested in different ways. I'm not so sure that it's polytheistic. Okay. So if we were ending the class here, you'd think, okay, what does chosenness mean? Chosenness doesn't mean that I'm better than my Catholic neighbor. Doesn't mean that I'm more talented than my Catholic neighbor, or that I'm going to be blessed with more success than my Catholic neighbor. It means that I was given a job, and I just chose Catholic neighbor, my non-Jewish neighbor. My job is to make sure that I live in a way that helps to articulate and express and hopefully even inspire others to a relationship with God. That makes us a treasure. Now we're going to go to a deeper, more mystical perspective of this. Fasten your seatbelts. All right. The Mendy says, text 6, before the creation of the world, before God created the world. So there's no cats, no dogs, no trees, no rocks, no fish, no people, no Italians, no Irish, no Israelis. The souls of the righteous sat with the King of all kings. There's God. Souls are also part of the creation. Before God created the world, including the human souls, were souls of the righteous and sat with the King of all kings, the Holy One, blessed be, and he consulted them before creating his world, as though God needed advice. So this is it's a midrashic. It's from the rabbis of the Talmud, and it's a way of inferring that God had a vision and saying, is it worth it for me to create this world, which is going to be full of a lot of the shallowness and pain we all know? And so, as though he consulted, they said, because of the souls of the righteous, envisioning people doing good things, I'm going to make this world. Now, text up. What is it? The King of all kings. We say the king created souls. Let's go back to the idea of the treasure. Text 7, sorry. Rashi, the primary commentator on the Torah, he says, when you say a treasure, what is it? What's a treasure? A beloved treasure, like the treasures of kings. As kings store costly vessels and precious stones in their secret treasure houses, so will you be a treasure to me from among the nations. So here's what Rashi says there. We don't know. We don't have kings. We don't know much about kings except what you see on TV, and it's not usually they're not people we look up to. King is a person of great stature. king is a person who holds tremendous authority. King is a person whom we respect. So the king, because the king is the king, and not only because it's good to be king, because the king has the welfare of the kingdom on his shoulders. The king has to have resources. The more money he has, the bigger the army he can have, the more he could do for the people, the greater the roads, whatever he could do. Tax money. Here we're saying a treasure, it doesn't say the king's bank account. Where the king stores costly vessels and precious stones in their secret treasure houses. We're not talking about banking out here. It's the king has something very special, which is just, it's stored, it means something to him because it's secret. It's in his house, in his treasure house. When the king is going and building a beautiful new housing development for a specific city, that's great. He's fulfilling his responsibility to the people. But that's not hidden. He's using the money. The king has rare diamonds on his crown and his scepter. So when he comes out to the people, there's this majesty, which is really, it's good. It serves a purpose, the ambiance. It's not hidden. It's on his crown. The point is that it evinces something when it's shown. The king has something that's just secret. It's just for him. It's about him feeling good, feeling that it in a good place, or feeling special. Imagine, I don't know. I mean, the closest thing I can think of it. Imagine you had a priceless diamond. You know something? It's possible that you wouldn't let anyone know about it because why would you? Because it just makes you a target. You're not going to wear it even to a maybe probably not even to a beautiful banquet because it's something so special. You keep it locked up. On the other hand, it's a beautiful thing to have. And from time to time, you want to go to see it because it's something that this makes it makes you feel special. Makes you feel unique. It's priceless diamond. So the way Rashi puts it, saying it's the treasure, and say, but it's not about what it's doing for the kingdom. It's what it does for the king. If you look at text 8, and this is from the Rabbi, the king's hidden treasures don't enhance the kingdom. This is not about something for the kingdom. The king is a servant to the kingdom, does everything for the kingdom. Then there's the king, what the king needs for himself. They are part of the king himself. His kingship is tied to having hidden treasures of diamonds and gems to enjoy and in which to delight. This truly exalts the king. It elevates him intrinsically. He feels more monarchic, I guess. They'd be able to say, look what I have. Not in a selfish way, but in a more transcendent way. So this idea, I just want to closely bring it here. This idea is that God created the Jewish souls, and the reality is that is as equal and as mutually respectful as the Torah wants us to be, and as I think we instinctively feel as Americans in this wonderful country. The Torah does tell us that there is something different about a Jewish soul. Doesn't mean that I'm a better human being than my non-Jewish neighbor, but I have a soul that has something, an element of godliness in it. So if you think about it this way, just to use a metaphor as it comes to my mind, I put some of myself into everything I do. I write a letter. I said something to you. I could totally forget. There's something I did yesterday, but I spoke to someone in shul. Then there are things where you put more effort. If you're an artist, write an article. You're a builder. You do something, create your craft. There's more expenditure of more unique view. And then there's having a child, which is, it's not my my deeply felt my creation that I feel close to, but it's just a part of me in a different body. There's a certain connection there that's not just about something that I expended. It's me. And one of the things that the Torah tells us is that there's a sliver of godliness. Everything is created by God. Humanity, the lizards, the trees, and everything needs to deserve respect because everything's created by God. But God put a sliver of godliness itself, of himself, so to speak, into the Jewish soul. And that is a pleasure for him because there are people who are really carrying the godliness itself, being able to feel themselves as separate and being able to connect that godliness with God through doing our mitzvahs and living our lives. So this is not such an easy concept, but it's here, so we'll deal with it. Text 9. This is why our service is in the manner of to observe all his commandments. The language that it uses is to observe all commandments. Commandments, it's a tall order, 613 commandments. We could just give me like 50 to start with. The Jews follow 613 commandments, not just 7 as Noahites do. Everybody has mitzvahs. The non-Jewish world has mitzvahs, 7 mitzvahs that every human being has. The Jewish people have 613. This is not just a quantitative difference. Jews carry out more commandments and tasks. Rather, it is a qualitative difference. The observance of non-Jews is limited by the number of commandments and tasks they are assigned. The observance of Jews, who are one, as it were, with God's core and essence, is beyond any measure or limitation. Since God and his will are one, a Jew who is one with God is devoted and committed to God's will. So there is this idea that's found in Jewish mysticism for millennia, that God has a certain pleasure out of the idea of implanting a sliver of divine essence into souls and saying, and now they can go live human lives and hopefully connect that divine sliver with the essence. Does it mean Jews are good people? No. Does it mean that we make the right decisions? No. But it means that there's that capacity, yes.
We've run into the name, the Noahides.
Yeah.
A couple of times. Who are they?
No, they're called Noahides because after the flood, Noah and his wife are seen as the parents of all humanity. So, and then later on, Abraham and Sarah start a different stream. So there's the Abrahamic stream, which we call Jews today. They were called Hebrews. And then there's the rest of the, what's the rest of the world? Noahites. They're called B'nai Noach, the children of Noah.
Okay.
So those laws, there are 7 laws that are for all of humanity, which are to believe in God, not to blaspheme God, not to commit adultery, not to steal, not to kill, not to be cruel to animals.
Kill or murder?
Murder, and to establish courts of justice. Those are 7 laws, Torah laws for everybody. So if we feel that way, so what does the Torah want to think? If I have my non-Jewish neighbors, Torah's what? So I should walk out and say, listen, you're a human being and you've got a lot of good stuff, but I have a sliver of God in me. It doesn't work that way. The more we feel God, the more humbled we should be to think, oh my gosh, what does that mean? I have a responsibility. Let's take a look at what they gave us here, text 10a. To function, humility needs a reality greater than ourselves, a reality that inspires awe. Nature in its beauty, complexity, and vastness does afford us a sense of the sacred and profane. Nature is complex, intricate, and spontaneous. Think of the migration of Greece or the sunrise. Visit the Grand Canyon or walk among the exposed and open rock of southern Utah. Late at night, look up and watch the stars. Or during spring, crouch and watch a bean sprout coming out of the ground. At some point, you'll stop and say, wow, this is incredible, beautiful, amazing. To fail to see this, To fail to be moved by the awe-inspiring qualities of nature is to lack humility. We understand humility through the awe-inspiring qualities the virtuous person can see. Humility comes from contact with a greater, more complex reality. That is, a person stands before something that inspires awe. So, what this woman, Lisa Gerber, is talking about is the humility that comes from seeing majestic nature, which could be in the Grand Canyon or on your front lawn if you're going to take the time to look at it. And you think about the vastness of the universe. It's, oh my gosh. I'm part of such an incredible system. That shouldn't inspire within a person say something, wow, I'm great, I can manipulate the system. It's a sense of smallness and hopefully also a sense of responsibility. If this is such an incredible world, what can I do to help it and protect it? Text MB is from Carl Sagan, Pale Blue Dot. The theme of his book runs against just about everything else in the theme of this whole lesson, but for some reason they quoted it. Look at that dot. That's here, that's home. That's us. Oops. Yeah, that was Freudian. I didn't do that. Okay. Like on it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering. Thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines. Every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilization. Every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer. Every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species. Covered almost everyone. Lived there. On a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. The earth is a very small stage in a vast cosmic arena. Think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors so that in glory and triumph they could become the momentary masters of a fraction of a dot. Think of the endless cruelties visited by the inhabitants of one corner of this pixel and the scarcely distinguishable inhabitants of some other corner. How frequent their misunderstandings, how eager they are to kill one another, how fervent their hatreds. Our posturing, our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some privileged position in the universe are challenged by this point of pale light. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. It's a humbling thought. Again, I believe we matter, not only Jews but all of us. So, and Carl Sagan, I don't think that the logical conclusion of where he's going means that we matter. But the idea is that if you think about the enormity of the universe, it's humbling. So in text 11, we find they bring this idea. The founder of Chabad in the 1700s, oh no, you're right, thank you. He was imprisoned by the Tsar. And he was imprisoned by the Tsar because other Jews told the Tsar that he was a danger. So other religious Jews. So it was really a very difficult time within the Jewish community. There was a split, and then now he's imprisoned in not talking about the 1700s. They didn't have judicial reforms and proper protections. When he was freed, thank God, he was freed. He told his followers not to show any negative pushback to those who had gotten him in prison. So this is a time of divine kindness that should humble us. They did. That's between them and God. But we should feel humbled by the kindness that we felt. And it's not a time to go into a spat with someone. says we ought to become exceedingly humble with every kindness God bestows upon us. And he quotes, not here, but he quotes in that section, he says, Jacob, our patriarch Jacob, who says, I have been humbled by all the kindnesses you have shown me, says to God. Because when you look at kindness, my gosh, it didn't have to be this way. I didn't deserve everything I got. I mean, as though there's some divine scoreboard. The idea is that I have a lot to be thankful to God for, and that should humble me. So the kindnesses, the advantages, the victories we have are not something to make us feel, or the skills, the things that make us unique or make us special, because each of us is special. Shouldn't make us arrogant. It should make us more humble. So God gave me that gift. For kindness is God's right arm, as the verse says, and his right arm embraces me. In kindness, God draws us close to him, far closer than ever before. And those brought exceedingly close to God and raised aloft to great heights must be ever humbler to the lowliest plane, as it is written, from afar has God appeared to me. So he's saying the more blessed you feel, the humbler you should be. And it's important for us to recognize that a lot of what we have are blessings. We earn, we accomplish, but a lot of what we have is blessings, and the skill set we have that allows us to accomplish, and the opportunities we have to accomplish that allow us to accomplish. Those are also not things that necessarily we make. There's what God gives us, those opportunities and those skills. As is known, all that is before him is esteemed as nothing. God is the infinite, and nothing compares. Hence, the closer one is to God, the more like nothing, naught, and non-existent one becomes. The closer one feels to God, the more humble one should feel, more humble one becomes. So the more we feel embraced by God with blessings, the more it should make us recognize that it's not about us, as we're here for a purpose, because that's where the humility comes in, that we're here to be of service. So this idea of chosenness, as uncomfortable as it may be, because it is for me too, the recognition is that we have a special mission, that God cares about everything, but there's something treasured about what I can do today, and I have to make it work. And I have an obligation to the world, I have to myself, an obligation to the world, I have an obligation to God to be able to actualize that treasured existence. So let's take a look at 137. Let me get this out of the way. I'm sorry. It says every human, number one, every human is God's treasure. We were chosen to teach them that they are divine gems, each designed for a unique purpose. We also teach them how to live up to their privilege and potential. Number two, being chosen does not lead to arrogance, because we were chosen to raise others, not ourselves or others. Our job is to help elevate people and to elevate ourselves over them. Number three, on a deeper level, God chose us to give us a part of himself. He did not provide this to other nations. Created other nations all matter. They are all uniquely important. But this idea of a sliver of God himself is where the distinction is. We serve him. Number four, we serve him because we are part of him. We don't have interests outside of God's wishes. What he desires is our most profound wish. That's the idea, is that, again, there's a certain relationship that we can feel like with a parent. This doesn't lead, number five, to feelings of superiority, because when we are in God's presence, we don't feel, I apologize, we don't feel superior. We feel humbled by his absolute greatness. So that is kind of a mouthful there. If there are any questions, points to bring up, you can do it now. But this is that second element is really it is a fundamental part of Torah thinking, both in the Talmudic and the mystical. And it's something for us really to recognize that there is there's a responsibility and a burden to being Jewish, but there's a gift in being Jewish. But it's something that, out in the public square, it doesn't really, I think it's not, it doesn't fit so seamlessly into the way we want to be able to see, to create true oneness with us and the rest of humanity. So there's, the way I say it, there's family and there's friends. There's nothing wrong with me. My family is, I take, they're in my house. There's something special. Then I have friends. Jews are my family, and the rest of the world are my friends. It's not, it isn't pejorative when I say I want to help my neighbor, but I have my family, and my family is, is more special to me than my neighbor, even though my neighbor is special to me too. But family's family. So there's that idea of looking at this within the Jewish people.
So back to my original question.
Go ahead, what's your question?
The biggest quest for us to lead non-Jews.
Can you say it louder so make sure we can hear you?
To lead non-Jews to monotheism.
Yeah.
Via its
Christianity
or Islam. But in a way, it's deceiving them because they believe in two religions that are not really understanding God as the way we understand God, and they don't follow the God wishes properly because neither Quran nor Bible teaches.
Why are they not fulfilling the God's wishes properly?
Is Torah, is Quran and Bible, Christian Bible, equal to Torah?
No. But the Torah wants them to fulfill these 7 values. They're in Christianity and Islam, so they have other stuff. Let them do those stuff. That's okay.
But then rest of their lives they live according to teachings of Quran and New Testament.
No skin off my back if that's what they like.
Yeah, but it's a result of us leading them in that on that road.
Yeah.
So okay. That's deceiving.
I don't think. Yeah, I guess I hear what you're saying. I think that for them, it's important for them to make sure that they find the relationship with God and morality, and those are the spheres. That's great. Mm-hmm. I'm not endorsing everything to them. I'm not endorsing everything Christianity says. I'm not endorsing what that particular pastor says. What if I send someone to a shul, and that rabbi teaches some things I don't agree with? I sent you to a shul. I believe in Judaism. If you heard something there that's not so much, okay, so hopefully you have enough brains to be able to see through it or not. But it's not me telling someone to go to the church across the street. I'm not endorsing the pastor's sermons. And then I'm saying go find God over there, and I'm good with that.
Is the teaching of morality in the Quran and the Bible equal to teaching of morality in Torah?
The morality that Torah says we should be teaching to non-Jews. That's yeah.
I'm not so sure about Quran as much as I know Quran.
Something. Don't put me in the position of defending Islam here. But if you read
for Christianity,
if you read some books on Islam, I'm not saying it translates into the real world. They have, the ideas make a lot of sense.
So this is very interesting because this chosen thing has always, made me uncomfortable. So it's really about ego, the danger of having, if we have Jews act like we're better, we just hold ourselves as targets.
Yeah, and we really we did.
But if, like you put it, that it's about service.
Service, exactly. We've distorted the whole idea. It's like it's me hiring a principal for a school here, and then they go around just bossing around the teachers. I didn't bring you in here for that. It's help the teachers, make sure they have the proper resources, inspire them. You're their servant. It's it's a person. Now I'm the boss. It's good to be king. That's flipping the idea on its head. God gave us skill sets, situations, and in our sense also a Jewish identity, which is a gift, but it's a responsibility. Just to sit back and wallow, feel good about our gift, that's spitting the gift in the face. Someone has from a Torah perspective, someone has an incredible skill of art. And they come to me and say, yeah, I'd rather stock shelves and shop right. It's just easier. They're entitled to their lives. They make their own decisions. But I would say, if God gave you this skill and you can inspire people with it, art can do a lot. You're looking your gifter and saying, I don't want your gift. Gift is a responsibility. You should really try to do it. Now, they don't want to do it. I'm not God. But I do believe that they would need to hear that knowing that they have a gift that they can bring to the world and saying, rather not. If you have the gift, then believing in God, I mean, the gift is responsibility to use it to help people. Right?
Okay, now,
Yeah.
yesterday I was reading in the Daily Daf
Okay.
about the laws of betrothal.
Okay.
Now, there's a secondary issue in there.
That's not, it has nothing to do with this, right?
No, not from this.
Okay.
Okay, the first issue is
Daily
that,
daf means it's a page of Talmud, yeah.
okay, the first issue that I see is the giving of a gift and its acceptance.
Okay.
Okay, now, I don't know of anybody here who at some point in their relationship with other people has not given a gift.
Of course.
Now, by the definition in the DAF, that means that they are betrothed and married,
No.
even if they didn't marry the person.
No. It has to be. It has to be with the intent and the articulation that this is for the sake of betrothal. So that means if you gave a gift to someone, you said it's for betrothal, the person accepted it, and you're right. If you walked over to well, you're married, but say we walk over to someone in the shop, right, and says, I like you, here's a box of Cheerios, I want to betroth you with this, and she says, okay, especially
Now,
in front of two witnesses,
right.
yeah, we got an issue.
The other argument in there is what constitutes consent.
Yeah.
Is it silence or an actual active agreement?
No, right. So usually there can be something there. It can be an active agreement, not necessarily. There has to be a sense where the witnesses see that it was agreed to by both parties. All right. Have a great one.
Shofar.
Oh, shofar. Good. Hang on. I'm gonna put this on. Actually, left on Tuesday. For some reason it didn't come across as the audio. Let me know if it happens.
Don't pull out the microphone.
Don't pull out what?
The microphone.
You don't want to destroy the diaphragm
So what I should.
I'm kidding.
to one side or the other.
Sorry, again. Good year to everyone.
It didn't come through, by the way.
Cannot? Wow. Does anybody here, any of our tech wizards can figure out why that doesn't come through?
What didn't come through?
The sound.
How did it not come through?
That does make
That
sense.
doesn't make sense.
That's what I said.
Yeah, I don't know. Even the people, a lot of people here smarter than me about this stuff and say that they can't figure that out.
It's been so loud that.
Maybe it was too
It's
loud.
overloaded, yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Okay, next time I'll try and do it from the back of the room. I don't know. Okay, you
Thank you.